The bazaar smelled like wet fur, burnt oil, and someone's failed cooking experiment. Stalls stretched in every direction, glowing signs flashing in languages designed to make your eyeballs twitch. Aliens haggled loudly over everything from starship scrap to bottled sweat from a species I was too polite to ask about. And then I heard the auctioneer. Prime cut. Rare delicacy. Hybrid werewolf girl. Guaranteed tender, she bites, but the teeth are free. The crowd pressed closer, drool dripping from fanged mouths, tongues curling at the sight of a cage rolled into the center. Inside, slumped against the bars, was a girl with sharp ears, glowing eyes, and a look that said she'd kill you before breakfast, and then probably nap through lunch. The auctioneer went on, milking the crowd. Look at the marbling. Strong muscle fibers. Best roasted, boiled, or slow-braised under a triple moon. Bids flew. Aliens shouted numbers, waved credit chips, hissed curses at each other. One particularly large slug being shouted, "I'll pay double if you throw in the claws as garnish." I muttered under my breath, yeah, nothing says romance like picking werewolf teeth out of your salad. My wallet was thin, my credit worse than a politician's promise, and yet somehow my hand went up. Maybe it was pity. Maybe it was stupidity. Or maybe it was the way she looked at the bidders, not scared, not broken, just furious. The kind of fury that said, "You think I'm meat? Try it, and I'll bite your face off." Sold, the auctioneer barked, slamming the gavel. To the human. Silence. Every alien eye turned to me. A whisper spread through the crowd. The human bought her. For meat, of course. Humans eat anything, I've heard. They chew bones for fun. I cleared my throat. Actually, I was thinking more along the lines of, companionship. That made it worse. A dozen aliens gagged dramatically. One fainted into a vat of pickled organs. Companionship, a reptilian sneered. You bought her for that kind of meat. I was too broke to correct him. The cage was shoved toward me, the girl glaring like I'd just ruined her evening. You smell like cheap beer, she said, voice low, sharp. You bought me. Why? I swallowed hard. Because no one deserves to be dinner. Her lips twitched, like she wasn't sure whether to laugh or rip my throat out. The crowd dispersed, muttering about strange humans and kinky appetites. One alien snickered, guess he wanted fresh meat in bed, not on a plate. I tugged the cage toward my ship, trying to keep my dignity while dragging a prisoner who radiated disdain. She tapped the bars with her claws. You really expect me to believe you didn't buy me for meat? Yes. For dinner meat. No. For bed meat. I coughed. Definitely no. Her smile widened, all teeth. Shame. You paid a lot. Should at least get what you paid for. The words hit harder than the dent in my wallet. Aliens behind us laughed, tossing innuendos like rotten fruit. I kept walking, cheeks burning, while she made exaggerated chewing noises. Back at the docking bay, my ship looked like a dying toaster with wings. Paint peeling, one thruster patched with duct tape. She eyed it, unimpressed. You risked your neck, your money, and your reputation, for this? A cage in a flying trash can. I sighed. Yeah, welcome home. Don't eat the furniture. She tilted her head. You really didn't buy me for meat. Nope. Then you're either the dumbest human in the galaxy, or the strangest. Both, I admitted. But at least I'm not hungry. She laughed then, loud, wild, a sound that made nearby aliens stop and stare. And for the first time since I walked into that marketplace, I wondered if maybe I hadn't bought trouble at all. Maybe I'd bought something else entirely. Behind me, the auctioneer's voice still echoed in my ears. Prime cut, best served hot. Maybe they were right. But not in the way they thought. Dragging a cage onto a spaceship isn't the kind of thing that earns respect. The dockhands stared as I shoved her inside, sweating through my shirt while they whispered, humans got expensive taste in meat. One even winked and shouted, don't forget to marinate. I flipped him off, which only made him howl with laughter. Inside the ship, the silence lasted 3 whole seconds before the banging started. Metal rattled. When I opened the cage, she bolted straight for the pilot's chair and gnawed on the armrest like it was a turkey leg. I shouted, "That's not food." She spit out a mouthful of fabric. "You sure? Tastes better than whatever those creeps had planned." I dragged her away, tossed a blanket over her shoulders, and muttered, "You're supposed to be my guest." "Guest meat?" she asked, tilting her head, eyes gleaming with too much amusement. "Roommate," I corrected. "Not meat. Not dinner. Not anything else." She smirked like she didn't believe a word. "So you bought me just to sit around? Waste of money. You humans don't know how to bargain." "You're welcome," I said, deadpan. Her nose twitched at the smell of the cabin. "What died in here?" I scratched the back of my neck. "That would be my cooking. Or possibly my laundry." She wrinkled her nose. "You live in this trash can and didn't want to eat me? That's suspicious." I groaned. "For the last time, I don't eat people." She leaned close, voice low and teasing. "Not even a little nibble." I tripped over a pile of socks and smacked my knee on the table. She howled with laughter, clutching her stomach. "You're pathetic. Stronger species would have roasted me. You trip over socks." "You tried doing laundry in zero gravity," I snapped. She pointed at the dirty clothes scattered across the cabin. "So this is your natural habitat, piles of cloth and stale crumbs. No wonder aliens think humans are disgusting." "I never claimed to be classy," I muttered. She plopped onto the couch, stretched like a cat, and said, "So what do you actually want from me?" I hesitated. "Nothing. You're free now." She stared, suspicious. "Free meat? Nobody gives away free meat. There's always a catch." "The catch," I said, "is you don't bite my furniture." She grinned, showing sharp teeth. "No promises." That's when the ship alarm went off. A red light blinked, accompanied by a voice announcing, "Unauthorized scan detected." She sniffed the air. "Bounty hunters. They want their meat back." I cursed. "They think I stole you." "You did steal me. Bought me cheap and smuggled me out." "I didn't smuggle." She cut me off. "Let me guess. Now they think you bought me for other uses." I covered my face with both hands. "Yes. Great. Fantastic. Everyone thinks I'm a pervert." "You kinda look like one," she said cheerfully. Before I could argue, the ship rocked. A blaster shot skimmed the hull. She leapt to her feet, claws out. "Let me at 'em. I'll show them what happens when you try to eat the meat." I grabbed her arm. "You can't just attack bounty hunters." "Why not? They taste like chicken." "They've got plasma rifles." She smirked. "So? I've got teeth." The pounding at the airlock intensified. I scrambled for a plan, while she circled the cabin, pacing like a caged wolf. "You humans always overthink things," she muttered. "One bite, problem solved." "One bite is how rabies starts," I shot back. The banging grew louder. She glanced at me, sharp grin spreading. "Fine. You distract them. I'll do the chewing." I sighed, pulled on my jacket, and muttered, "Why couldn't I have just bought a sandwich?" She licked her lips. "Because sandwiches don't snarl." When the hatch blew open, she was gone in a blur of claws and fur. Screams erupted as bounty hunters toppled backward, weapons clattering to the floor. I shouted, "Stop biting their guns." She shouted back, "They're crunchy." I dove for cover as sparks flew, my brain screaming that this was the worst roommate situation in galactic history. And yet, somewhere between the chaos and the insults, a ridiculous thought crossed my mind. Maybe buying her hadn't been the dumbest thing I'd ever done. No, scratch that, it was definitely the dumbest. But at least it wasn't boring. The airlock looked like a crime scene made by a very hungry blender. Bounty hunters lay groaning, clutching bite marks in places that would make a doctor blush. She stood in the middle, breathing hard, claws dripping sparks where she'd chewed through a rifle barrel like it was a breadstick. I stared, jaw loose. You can't just chew their weapons. She wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. Why not? They taste better than your cooking. Those guns cost more than my entire ship. Not my problem, she said with a grin, fangs flashing. You bought me. Maintenance is on you. The groaning hunters cursed in half a dozen alien languages. One yelled, filthy human pervert. Bought her for meat, now she fights like a rabid dog. I shouted back, she's not meat, she's my, and froze. My brain refused to finish the sentence. Roommate? Pet? Girlfriend? Whatever word I chose, it would sound worse. She tilted her head, watching me sweat. Go on. I'm your what? My responsibility, I managed. She laughed so hard she doubled over. That's the saddest word I've ever heard. You could have at least said lover meat. Aliens around us gasped in disgust. One gagged so loudly I thought he'd eject his stomach. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Could you please stop making everyone think I bought you for that? Her grin widened. Why? It's hilarious. The hunters scrambled to their ship, shouting threats about bringing reinforcements. She waved after them, licking her claws like she'd just polished off a buffet. Come back soon. I'm still hungry. I slumped into the pilot's chair. You've doomed me. The whole galaxy thinks I bought you for sex meat. She plopped onto the co-pilot's seat, kicked her legs up, and said, At least they think you're getting some. I groaned so loudly it echoed. That's when the broadcast hit. The ship's comms blared with a newsfeed, a smug alien anchor announcing, breaking scandal, human purchases werewolf hybrid girl at auction, for meat of questionable kind. A blurry photo of me dragging her cage filled the screen, captions flashing, from steak to mate. She howled with laughter, nearly falling off her seat. Oh, you're famous now. I buried my face in my hands. I'm never showing my face in civilized space again. She leaned close, voice dripping mischief. Guess you'll have to settle for uncivilized space. With me. Despite myself, I smiled. Just a little. The alarm buzzed again, this time, not bounty hunters. Tabloid ships. Dozens of them. They swarmed like flies, shouting questions through the comms. Is it true you bought her for her thighs? Do humans prefer fur on or off? Are you planning to breed her or barbecue her? I shut off the comms and yelled, I hate everything. She chuckled. You humans really care too much about what other people think. They think I'm sleeping with dinner. She raised an eyebrow. Would that be so bad? I choked. Yes. Absolutely. Relax, she said, patting my shoulder. I'm teasing. Or am I? I nearly slammed my head into the console. Another ship appeared on the scanner, sleeker, deadlier, not paparazzi this time. An official bounty cruiser. I cursed. We can't fight them. She cracked her knuckles. We could eat them. No. No more eating the opposition. She pouted. You humans ruin all the fun. I steered the ship into an asteroid belt, engines rattling. She clung to the seat, laughing wildly as rocks spun past. You're insane, she shouted over the alarms. Welcome to human survival strategies, I yelled back. Step 1, panic. Step 2, improvise. Step 3, hope nobody notices you're an idiot. The cruiser fired. I jacked the controls, scraping the hull on an asteroid. She whooped like it was a roller coaster. Again. I grit my teeth. You're supposed to be terrified. I've been in a cage for months. This is fun. The ship shook violently as another blast skimmed the side. She leaned over, slammed a paw on a random button, and the waste hatch opened, spewing weeks of garbage into space. The pursuing cruiser plowed straight through it. Their comms screeched in outrage as leftover noodles, socks, and something unidentifiable coated their windshield. I blinked. You actually saved us with trash. She smirked. Sometimes meat is clever. For a second, silence hung in the cabin. Then I started laughing, loud, unstoppable, half hysteria, half relief. She laughed too, her sharp, feral voice mixing with mine until the ship echoed with it. When the noise died down, she leaned back, arms crossed. So, you bought me, didn't eat me, didn't bed me, and didn't sell me. What exactly are you planning to do with me, human? I hesitated, searching for an answer that wouldn't sound pathetic. Finally, I said, I guess. I just want you to have a chance. To be something more than someone's dinner. Her smile softened, just a fraction. You're weird. But I like. By the time we lost the last tail, the ship was running on fumes and duct tape. The control panel flickered like it was debating whether to die now or later. I collapsed in the pilot's chair, sweat dripping down my back, while she sprawled across the co-pilot seat, gnawing on a spare cable like it was jerky. You can't eat that, I said weakly. She spit out wires. Relax. I was just tasting. Better than your coffee. My coffee is fine. It tastes like motor oil. It is motor oil. The coffee machine broke 3 months ago. She laughed, loud and raw, like the galaxy was some big joke only she understood. And yet you survived. Humans are insane. Insane enough to buy you, I muttered. She propped her chin on her claws, eyes gleaming. Still waiting for you to admit why you really did it. I told you. Nobody deserves to be sold as meat. Then what am I now? She asked. I opened my mouth, closed it again. Roommate? Passenger? Feral liability? The words didn't fit. She tilted her head, amused by my struggle. Careful, human. Say the wrong thing and I might decide you're the meat. Threatening your landlord isn't exactly polite, I shot back. You call this dump a home? She stretched, claws scraping the wall. You really need a decorator. And a mop. And maybe fire. I chuckled despite myself. You could always leave, you know. Her expression shifted, just for a second. A flicker of something softer under the teeth. Then she smirked again. Nah. You'd be dead in a day without me. Somebody has to chew the weapons. Silence settled, heavy but not uncomfortable. For the first time, she wasn't mocking or snarling. Just watching me, eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Tell me the truth, she said finally. When you saw me in that cage, what went through your head? I exhaled slowly. That you looked angry. Not broken, not scared. Just angry. And I thought, maybe that meant you still had fight left in you. Maybe if I got you out, you'd still have a chance to be something other than someone's dinner special. Her lips curled into a grin. You humans. Always turning everything into a redemption story. You really think you saved me? No, I admitted. I think you saved me from being the guy who walked away. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she barked out a laugh. That's the cheesiest thing I've ever heard. You really are pathetic. Thanks, I said dryly. I try. She leaned closer, so close I could smell ozone and wildness on her breath. So maybe I'll stick around. Pay off my life debt. I raised an eyebrow. Life debt. That's what we call it. You buy me, save me, whatever, you own me until I pay it back. I don't want to own you. Too late, she purred, sharp grin returning. Guess you bought me for love meat after all. I choked. That's not, no, don't call it that. She laughed so hard the ship rattled with the sound. Oh, I'm never letting this go. I groaned, burying my face in my hands. Somewhere out there, tabloids were still running stories about the perverted human with his werewolf bride. Whole planets probably thought I was grilling her on weekends and cuddling her on weeknights. But here she was, sprawled in my cabin, alive, loud, impossible, and somehow not the worst company in the universe. The nav console beeped weakly, announcing we were drifting off course. I smacked it until the light died. She raised an eyebrow. That your strategy for everything? Hit it until it stops complaining. Works on ships, comms, ex-girlfriends. She howled with laughter, rolling onto her back. You really are insane. Humans, I said with a shrug. We get by. Sometimes it works, sometimes it blows up in our faces. But at least we don't turn people into steak. She sobered just a little at that. That's what makes you different, huh? You look at monsters and see people. Even when the monsters don't see themselves that way. I looked at her, at the claws, the glowing eyes, the sharp grin she used like armor. Maybe monsters are just what happens when nobody gives them another option. Her expression softened. Then she ruined it by licking her claws and saying, Still doesn't mean I won't bite you if you snore. Deal, I said, smiling. She stretched again, curling up like she'd lived there all her life. Fine, human. I'll stay. But don't forget, you bought me. You're stuck with me now. Yeah, I said quietly. I think I can live with that. She smirked one last time. Better hope you can live through it. The ship drifted into the stars, 2 fugitives, one broke human, one feral werewolf girl, both laughing at a galaxy that couldn't decide whether to fear us, mock us, or ship us together in tabloids. And as I leaned back in my creaking chair, listening to her chew on another wire, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't the worst decision I'd ever made. Which meant I was definitely going to make worse ones. But at least I wouldn't be making them alone.